Good morning, everybody. My name is Cesar Castro. I work in the Community Cloud Product Marketing Organization. And we're here today to talk to you about community management. So how many people here work with community managers? How many people are community managers or in the area of community management? Good. We've got a good show of hands. That's awesome. How many of you are on Community Cloud or thinking about using Community Cloud? Excellent. We've got a good show of hands from the group. So let me kick things off. I'm going to be very brief in my remarks. I just wanted to introduce the session today, introduce the speakers, introduce what we really want to accomplish today. This is one of the few sessions I think happening at Dreamforce where we're really focused on community managers. We're focused on the practice of community management. So we wanted to create something that was really useful for you. So we really have three objectives today. We wanted to have this session to bring community managers together. We wanted to share customer stories. So we've got a few customers here. They're going to talk to you about how they're running their communities. And then in a little bit, we're going to be introducing a new tool that we've developed that's really designed to help community managers do their work. So that's really the focus of today. So we've got a great lineup of speakers. But before I do that, has everyone seen the Safe Harbor slide? Is everyone tired of seeing the Safe Harbor slide? Never get tired of seeing the Safe Harbor slide. That's right. So this slide is important. It's basically what it's meant to convey is that you make any purchasing decisions based on what's in the product today, and no decisions based on anything you may hear us talk about in terms of the product. So all decisions should be made based on what's generally available in the product today in the Salesforce platform. So we hope you go out and buy lots and lots of Community Cloud licenses because it's pretty awesome. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to have three speakers. I'm new to Dreamforce. I'm new to Salesforce, so people are telling me you shouldn't have three speakers. That's too many, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I've got three excellent people here to talk. First up will be David from CMX Hub. How many people have heard of CMX Hub? It's one of the greatest and best community management organizations out there. I really love what these guys do. I love what David does with his organization. I love the interaction that they have, the group that we have on Facebook, all the things that we do in the CMX Hub is incredible. I've learned a ton from that group, and I recommend all of you run out and join that group immediately. David, you might want to mention when you're up here about your event. He's doing an event in the middle of October here in San Francisco. And Salesforce, we've partnered and we've worked very closely with CMX throughout the year to sponsor their events. And now we're even sponsoring some of the research that they're going to be doing. That'll be coming out next year. So David's going to talk a little bit. Then we've got John from Rally Software, our first customer story, talking a little bit about how he's running his community. And he's going to illustrate some elements of this tool that we're going to be sharing with you today and how he's putting it to work for his community. And then we're going to wrap up with Phoebe from our Salesforce success community. One of the best, I think, most impressive B2B communities out there. It's been around for quite a while. She's also going to tell you a little bit about the success community, tell you a little bit about how she's using the Canvas, the tool that we're going to share with you today, and just give you some pointers on, what are the things you need to think about when you have a more mature community, when you've got a well-established community. How do you continue to add value and build growth for that community? Okay, so we're going to quickly get in right to the discussions, and then when David's done, I'm going to come back and make a few remarks, and then hand it over to John and then Phoebe. Okay, great, thanks, David.
Thank you. So quiet in here. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Sorry, I know everyone's like still hungover. You didn't get your coffee yet. All right, well, I'll try to liven it up, get your day started well. As Cesar said, I'm the CEO of CMX, and CMX is the central hub for the community industry. How many of you had no idea there was a community industry? Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's pretty cool. This is an industry that's growing extremely quickly right now. More and more companies every single day are building communities using platforms like the Community Cloud. They're hiring community professionals, and it's basically a whole new way of doing business today that in some ways have existed before, but now it's really culminating. And so to really understand why this is happening and what it really means for a company to invest in community, I want to take you all the way back to the beginning of companies. Who knows where the word company actually comes from? What does it sound like? Cesar is not allowed to answer. What does it sound like? Shout a word out. Companion. That's right. The etymology of company actually comes from companionship. Companies actually started as communities. In the very early days, they were trade guilds that would go to your town and they bring all their different news and goods and services, and you'd exchange. You'd sit down, you'd eat, you'd drink, and that was called a company. It was a group of people helping each other, exchanging goods. And then over time, we had some revolutions, right? Because it's very efficient when, like, all the people in this room, we could have a good company going, right? Because we're here, we can communicate with each other, we can exchange goods, but we're limited to the people who are around us, right? And so over time, we started to develop systems to optimize for mass production, right? We had the Industrial Revolution, which was all about creating mass processes for developing products. And when that happened, we took a big step towards companies and customers becoming really, really separated, right? If you had a problem with your product, you can't just call up Ford Company and get a new car, right? Like, there was no sort of customer service. The company and the customer were completely separated. With the agricultural revolution, same idea, right? It's not about me growing food and handing it to you. It's about mass producing food and then distributing it to people. So the company and the customer became these two separate entities. And then we got to the third revolution, right? The third industrial revolution is the digital revolution. We're in it right now. And the digital revolution has three phases. First was the information phase. And I'm going to explain how businesses started to change in each phase, right? Because during the digital revolution is when we first started to shift back towards a more community-centric business. So information became widely accessible, right? You can access any information about any company. People could start sharing their experiences with that company. You can find out information about their products. Are they good? Are they bad? Information became ubiquitous. And so all of a sudden, companies started to have to care a little bit more about that experience for customers. And so you started to see, them just focusing more on their brand and more on how people view their company, right? Next, we had socialization, right? Social media. That's been the trend for the last decade. So not only do we have ubiquitous accessibility to information, but we had access to people, to our connections. So we could communicate with people. We can ask them, what was your experience like with this product? Do you like this company or not? Why not? And all of a sudden, we started to see companies become more and more customer service centric, right? They became very responsive. Companies like Zappos started leading the way. And they had to start listening more, right? They had to respond more. They had to have quick response times. They had to do more to make people happy. And so all of a sudden now companies became that much more customer centric, right? We have to connect with our customers. We have to build relationships, right? That's a language that started coming out when social media started growing. And now we're in the third phase. I don't know if it's the last phase. We'll see. But it is the next phase. And that's collaboration. So first was information, right? It was about making sure that people liked what your company is doing. Second was socialization, right? You have to reach out to customers. You have to build relationships with them. You have to build a following. You have to build a reputation, right? And then collaboration happened. And collaboration isn't just your company building relationships with the customer. It's your company building relationships amongst your customers. It's creating an environment where your customers or your evangelists or your ambassadors, the people who believe in your vision, who want to be a part of it, you're creating an environment for them to be able to collaborate, for them to be able to work together and help each other become more successful. And it's changing everything that we're seeing right now. So it represents a fundamental shift in how businesses function inside and out, right? If we're limited to our company as our employees, and then we have our customers, it's a very It's like a two-way street, right? You're communicating out to them and then they communicate back. But if you look at it as you're building a community around your vision, around your mission, around your movement, you can build companies on exponential levels now. And we're seeing that, right? Why is that happening now? One, we're all connected on extreme levels, right? And we can collaborate now. Not only can we communicate, but we can actually collaborate. We can contribute. Technology has gotten to the point where we can help create businesses together, right? Crowdfunding, collaborative consumption. Technology reaches a point where we're not just actively participating, we're actually creating. Two, changing consumer expectations. Millennials are growing more and more in the workforce and they're becoming more buyers. Their expectations are just different, right? Like they're more environmentally conscious. They want to buy from companies where they believe in the vision, they believe in the mission behind it. They want to identify with a company. They don't just want to be a customer. So his expectations are changing. And three, it's working. It's working. There are now over 17 companies that are worth over $1 billion just in a collaborative economy, right? So if you're asking about the value of community, there it is. Over 16 billion has been invested through crowdfunding. So again, we're not just participating in companies, we're actually creating, we're contributing. We're the ones building the companies. We are the companies. Every single person here, every time you buy from a company, every time you participate in their message board, every time you participate in the community, you're part of the company. You may not be an employee, you're an extension of the team, but you're still part of it. And so let me try to visualize that, and hopefully this slide works, right? So this is how traditional companies look. You have a vision, right? The CEO has an idea, sparks something that really gets him excited, or her excited, and he or she starts telling people about it and getting more people on board, and they build a team around it, right? So we have a vision, now we built a team around that vision. And then we have an audience, right? That's who we want to serve. It's the people that we think have this problem. And so we build a product or a service, and we ship that product or service out to that audience, right? It's two separate entities. We ship out the product or service, and then that product or service comes back in the form of feedback. Maybe they buy it, maybe they don't. They give you feedback on what they liked or didn't like about the product. It goes back into the company, back into the team. They start working on a new product, and then they ship it out. And that's a cycle, right? It's two separate entities that are communicating with each other. And the fundamental difference in a community-driven or community-oriented company is this. It's one entity. It's not your team and then the audience. It's not your team and then the customers. It's all one entity. And it's created this middle ground that I call contributors, right? Who are the contributors? They're the hosts on Airbnb. They're the drivers on Lyft. They're the people who are developing courses on Duolingo, which is now the largest language learning platform in the world. All their courses are developed by their community. They're the editors on Wikipedia. They're the app developers for Apple, right? Look at every company now that's really growing fast, and I guarantee you could find contributors. They're the TEDx organizers for TED. They're the people who are participating in your community. If you have an online message board and you have your power users participating in there every single day, they're contributing. They may not be part of your team, but they're not exactly just an audience. They're an extension of your team, right? And so the two major implications here are, one, your team is the core of the community. How many of you, until right now, looked at your team as a community? No hands? Zero? Do you fall asleep? I'm sorry. Wake up. How many? Anybody? Didn't look at it? Okay. How do you define a community? Someone tell me what a community is, in your opinion. Great. Group of people with like-minded purpose. Anyone else? Shout it out. I know it's early. All right. Group of people with like-minded purpose, shared goal. What's that? Oh, that's good. He's like, he's got it. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, Yeah, right. Well, that's pretty spot on, right? It's a group of people with shared purpose, shared identity, shared sense of belonging. And I also like to say it's people with an ongoing shared experience that solves a problem for them, right? They're in an ongoing experience. Does that not describe a company? A group of people with a shared purpose, ongoing shared experience? Your company is the strongest part of your community. It's your employees, your team. That is your core community. And if that's not healthy, if you don't have a strong core, a strong culture internally, there's no way you can expect to have a strong community outside of that because it starts there and it bleeds out into everything you do. And the second is contributors and audience are an extension of your team. It's all about distributing control. Businesses are about distributing control. From the center leader, from the CEO, they distribute control to their team. And then you can continue to distribute control outside of the team to your contributors, to the people who believe in that vision that you have, believe in your mission, and they want to participate. And they're getting a different reward. Maybe it's not salary, maybe it is payments, but there's an intrinsic motivation. They want to be a part of it. They want to contribute. And by distributing control to people, you can develop a community that helps your company scale at exponential levels that were never before possible. And you can build loyalty that will last forever. And so that's why everything has changed today for how businesses function. And that's why community and all the work that you're doing now is the most important thing in this business world. Thank you.
That was great. Very inspiring. It reminds me of Bill Johnston, ex-Autodesk, wrote a really good blog post around community as a product, where today in some business models, and is Bill in the audience? Maybe not. I thought I saw him. Today in some business models, in some companies, people don't make purchases unless they know there's a community behind that company. That really community is part of the product. It's part of the product offering. So with that, I want to introduce our next part of the session, where I'm going to share with you guys this tool we've been developing. Can I get a drum roll? Can people start like drum rolling, please? Come on, really loud. Thank you very much. Where's the clicker? Oh no, I lost the clicker. I lost my momentum here. I'm introducing the community management canvas, something we've been working on at Salesforce specifically for community managers. We're going to be handing these out at the end of the session today. So what we've tried to do with this is we've taken a lot of the best practices that we talk about for community management, and we've distilled it down into one single document, one single sheet. Is anyone familiar with the business model canvas? Anyone heard of that? A few people have. So this was very much inspired by the business model canvas. And what it's meant to do is to capture all of the top things you need to think about when you're launching a community or running an existing community. This, in our opinion, applies to employee communities, customer communities, partner communities. It also applies to any stage of maturity of a community. So let's say you're launching a community for the first time, or you're thinking about launching a community. This can be helpful for you to think through some questions. If you've had a community for a short period of time, say for a year or so, like you're going to hear in a second from John, this is helpful for you to think about, how do I plan in the next stage? And then if you have a very mature community, like we're going to hear from Phoebe, this is also going to help you think about, how do I continue to add value in the community? So I'm just going to give you one little snapshot of it and then hand it over to John, because John and Phoebe are actually going to talk about their community, and they're going to talk about what parts of the canvas they're going to share some examples of how they filled out this canvas. So if you look at the very top of the canvas, it has 4 of what I think are the most important things you need to think about when you're starting a community. There's a lot more, but let's just start with these 4. Purpose, we've heard a lot about purpose already from David. Journey, users. So I always say that if you can't tell me the purpose of your community and who's it for and what they're going to do, you need to think about that a little bit more. You should be able to answer those 2 questions right away. The next one is promotion. Often something that companies and communities overlook is promotion. It's not just promotion when I launch my community, but it's promotion throughout the life of my community. We always have to be promoting. Everyone heard the term always be closing. I always think about always be promoting. And then the last one, and especially in larger organizations, is executive sponsorship. If Phoebe has time, I'm sure she'll tell you all about the crazy access she has to the top levels of Salesforce and their intense interest in what's happening in our own success community. So the way the canvas is organized is we've got a blank section for you to kind of think about and jot some ideas down. We're going to make this available electronically as well. So electronically, follow Community Cloud on Twitter. You'll see it there. And also join the community management group and the success community. How many people have been to the success community? Pretty good number of hands. So join the community management group and the success community. I run that group. We'll be sharing this electronically as well. Okay. So lots of questions on one side that are going to get you thinking about, how do I think about purpose? How do I think about journey? Things like that. And then the other side is meant to be a blank so that you can start filling it out and putting some thought into it. All right. Thank you for that. We're really excited to share this with you. At the end of the session, we're going to be handing these out on your way out because that's the best way to do it. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So next up we have John. Come on up and tell us about Rally. Thank you.
Hello. So I am John Streeter. I'm from Rally Software. We're based out of Boulder, Colorado, and we're all about agile, right? So helping businesses find that business agility. So I just to talk about my feelings when I heard about this canvas that these guys have been developing. Wow! My mind went, because I tried to use the I think it's called the Community Adoption Playbook that's out there as well from Salesforce, and it is a great resource. But I had a hard time organizing my thoughts in one place in a concise way, and just seeing this canvas, I said, "Oh, this is exactly what I needed." So you might hear me say, if I had this a while ago, I would have done this or that, but we'll see. So I'm gonna jump in and talk a little bit about me. Yeah, if I can learn how to use this device. So just a bit on my background. I've been a community manager a long time, right? 1.5 years. So yeah, so I'm kind of a veteran, well, I guess I am kind of a veteran, but and before that, I was in application support and healthcare, right? And being in support, it's a really reactive business, I think, in support, right? You're putting out fires and moving on to the next one. And when I talked to Rally about being a community manager, I said, oh, well, this is an opportunity to be proactive, right? To reach out and prevent forest fires, and that's what I want to do, right? And so it's really big for me, and I was really happy at this opportunity to do that. And you can see how I spend my day. A lot of support there, but I think it's fairly typical. I actually am a community manager in the support organization, and so that's the way it goes. So I just wanted to take a look at the Rally community. So it's been active for about a little over a year, and in that time we've got about 8,000 members. And we do get about 500 new members a month, and that's mostly through our support channels, because those are the folks that are looking for some help, either in the tool and they click on support, or they click on community, and it takes them here to reach out and talk to somebody. We do have about 100 questions posted per month, and about half of those are actually being solved by our community members. And we feel that's pretty good. You can see how many support cases we get, about 1,000 per month, and I consider that about, right now we're getting 5% of our support cases handled by our community, and that's great, especially for our support team, which is not very big. So we redesigned our homepage. I'm so happy about that. Big buttons. People like big buttons, but that was like a big deal. So we have a Q&A page, and that combines our customer questions as well as our knowledge base articles. So when you do a search here, you'll find a lot of information, whether it's in a KB article or some of those questions, and that uses Chatter answers. And then we also leverage Chatter in our discussion groups. We really like this because we can organize these groups around topics, but also around people, right? We have the folks who are the administrators of our tool. They're all our subscription administrators. So we've lumped them all in a group, and that's a huge group because those are the people who really care about Rally, who are in it all day, every day, and have a lot to talk about. And it's really nice because they can have private discussions in that group and leverage some of the cool functionality that Chatter has. So we do have, it's kind of funny, we do have Chatter answers and Chatter, and people try to figure out, which should I use, and the answer is both, because they both have good functionality. I wouldn't say each has everything, but putting them together seems to work. And then we also have our support center through the community. So users sign up, and then they can submit a case, and we know who they are, right? They can start typing their subject, and it filters over on the right our knowledge base articles. So hopefully a little bit of case deflection there. They can solve their problem without actually having to submit a case. We've done some cool things with just case management. So all those administrators who are managing all those support cases that their users create in the community, they can follow those and update those. They can get case metrics reports. That's some cool stuff that we've customized there. So let's jump into the canvas. So this was a big piece for me, these growth objectives. That was a piece of the canvas that really was important to me. And actually a couple months ago, I went up to Portland for the Community Leadership Summit, which is really a conference of community managers. And the main reason for going up there is I needed somebody to tell me, is my community successful or not? That didn't really work out. I asked around, but people didn't know. But I needed to know, is there like a benchmark that I can measure against? Is there like a certain level of activity? A little closer. Oh, wow. So is there a level of activity that I can measure against that means I'm successful, that the community is doing well? And I found the answer is really, well, it's whatever your goals are, just measure against that. Pretty simple. So this is a way that we've defined our goals. Our goals initially were case deflection. We've got a support staff of about 20 people. That's globally supporting hundreds of thousands of customers, and we've got we had actually a little over 1,000 cases per month. And so case deflection was huge, helping our customers find that self-service, right? Second goal is information dissemination. Earlier this year, actually, Rally released a pretty great feature, and we just toggled it on one day and said, okay, enjoy. And people said, well, wait a minute, where did this other thing go? Oh, we took that away. We forgot to tell you. Not good. So a lot of cases came in from that too. But so information dissemination, right? All of our admins are in the community. Why aren't we using it to tell people about these things beforehand, collaborating with them? Oh, we're about agility. Maybe we should do a little customer collaboration, huh? That's part of the Agile Manifesto, right? So now we're really leveraging the community to get that information out beforehand, collecting feedback, answering questions, that sort of stuff, really engaging and getting that information out there in a way that makes sense. And then the biggest reason, right, is collaboration between our customers. We've got a user conference too. It's called Rally On. It's a little smaller. You might be surprised by that. But, customers are in the same room. They have shared goals, right? They're all using the tool. They're all trying to find that agility, and they're having great conversations. Oh, but it's Friday at 3 p.m., so we're going to stop talking about that. What did I do? Did I turn it off? What did I do? I don't know what I did. I'll just keep talking. That's fine.
You keep talking.
Thank you. So, at 3 p.m., they're not going to just stop talking to each other. The place to go is the community, right? Keep those conversations going and keep connecting with each other. So that's a huge goal, and that's something that we're really happy to have. That's something that customers have asked for, and here we are delivering on it. So mapping our objectives, our goals to some measurements, right? We want 20%. I want 20% of our Rally users to be in the community. I want 5% of those users to please be contributors. I want 20% of our case volume to be answered in questions on the community. Those are solved questions. That would be awesome if we could get that by this time next year. Actually should have put timings in here probably, right? Smart metrics. And then discussion groups, just define something that says what you define is active enough to keep that group active. But just defining those measurements here makes it a lot easier for you to report up and say, is my community successful? So moving on, let's talk about users, right? What's the makeup of your community? That's important to define when people ask, well, who's in it? I don't know. No. This is who, right? For us, it's our prospects going out and trying to talk to somebody and find out, is is Rally cool? Are we as awesome as we say we are? The salespeople said it's really great. So maybe you should ask a customer about that. And of course, customers say, yes, it's the most amazing thing in my life right now. Right? But we actually had somebody going out there just the other day, a prospect, asking, am I doing something correctly? Is this agile what I'm doing? And our community said, yeah, keep going for it. It's just a great place to reach out and kind of find out about Rally. Customers doing things like, talking to other customers, right? And asking those questions. Our support staff is in there posting whenever we have downtimes, for instance, and making sure folks are updated and answering questions and kind of creating that vibe that, we're feeling this too. And then our product owners, now we're going in and celebrating those feature releases instead of fighting those fires later, right? And that's made a huge difference. But that's the makeup of our community, and defined pretty quickly in this canvas. And then reward recognition is something else I wanted to talk about. If I had this canvas a year ago, that would have been awesome, because I forgot about it. I'm a new community manager, right? I don't know. So, I had all kinds of questions out there in the community. People were posting those questions. That's great. But nobody was answering them. That's kind of important. It's like half of it, right? So we thought, well, okay, let's have our support staff go out there and answer those questions. Yeah, that'll work. Well, okay, that's fine, but that's a couple of goals that we're not addressing, right? It's not case deflection. It's pretty much just a case for our support staff to go out there and just answer all these questions, and it's not really creating a sense of community. So we decided, hey, let's reward people. What do people like? Well, people love fake internet points. They're not fake, but they're real internet points, right? But people like that. They like the status. If you're on Reddit, I'm not telling anybody my username, but if you're on Reddit, people like karma, right? They get rewards for contributing, and that's important to that community, and it's a huge community. So what we've done is introduced a leaderboard, and our folks that answer the most questions get the most points. And we've actually found a way to tie chatter answers into Chatter's reputation engine. So any activity you do from one feeds into the other, and we have one engine that shows your status. So in about 2 months after putting this leaderboard on the homepage, we saw it flip from at the top were our customers who submitted the most cases and interacted with support the most, to the users who are our MVPs, who are our advocates, who give us high NPS, Net Promoter Score ratings, right? They're the folks who really, really have that altruistic worldview, who want to help others. And it's huge. It really made our community something that to be proud of. Those folks out there and doing what they like to do and getting nothing more than a status on a leaderboard to say, hey, I'm awesome. And that works. But just defining that, super important. And like I said, the canvas is a great, easy way to just do that. Just think about it and put it down. So really useful. That's it for me. I'd like to pass it over to Phoebe, who's going to talk about the success community.
We'll hand it right off. Here you go, Phoebe. We're tight on time, so let's just get right.
All right, I will get moving. John, you are fantastic. Of course. I found John, he's already there, but he was in the success community, which is Salesforce's customer community online. We've got nearly 2 million members, but John stood out. I was like, this is a person that I'm learning so much from. He's teaching others. He's asking questions. The ideal community member, and I learned so much from other members because I definitely don't know it all, like how to advance. Here we go. So this is just a screenshot of our homepage. The success community is located at success.salesforce.com. You just use your Salesforce credentials to log in. And if you have SSO, it will auto log you in from your org switcher. That's my promo portion. I just want to talk a little bit about the evolution. For those that have not worked in online communities, built online communities, they might think, oh yeah, you just launched the community. It's great. It takes a day, get people in there and we're good to go. We're all set. Absolutely not. My manager, Erica Cool, is actually in the back there. She is the queen diva of community at Salesforce. That's an official title, by the way. And Salesforce has been in the community space well before we launched Community Cloud in 2013. In 2005 is when the community really started. It was a place to post materials from Dreamforce sessions, right? PowerPoints and videos and other links and things like that. We just needed to get people there to get their content. So over the years, it started to grow. In 2007, we got forums added so that people can actually talk to one another, in addition to retrieving the content that was really valuable to them. And we continued to grow until 2013, when our Community Cloud baby was launched. And our platform, we moved on to that platform. And that's where we are today. And Cesar had mentioned this earlier, but Erica, me, and our team, we do get to work directly with our product management leaders in order to not only suggest features, but work with them on building out features for our community. And sometimes they'll take certain features and build that into the formal product roadmap for people in this room. So it's really exciting and cool. We actually do walk the walk, right? So when we tell customers, you want to get feedback from customers in your community, we do that too. All right, just some current stats in the community. We've got nearly 2 million registered members, 450,000 logins per month. I'm not going to go over all these stats because we'll share this slide deck with you. But all this is done with a 6-member success community team that's including Erica and I. So, when people ask about how many people do you need on a team, I think it depends on what kind of players you have on your team. You have 10x players. You might not need a team of 50 people. It will be wonderful to continue building out the team as we're doing. I've got one of my new team members here today, Castro, and he's going to be helping me with and taking over the day-to-day community management in our community. So a lot of great factors drove this adoption. Again, it's not just about launching a site, putting a tweet out and hoping people go. We had to make sure it was a single hub with easy access. So if you want to go post a question, if you want to go find somebody to network with, if you want to suggest a product feature, it's all on the success community. You don't have to log in and out and figure out different places to go. An awesome thing is a couple years ago, Dreamforce came over to our community as well. So now if you're a Dreamforce attendee and a community member, it's all packaged up in one place. It's a great place to build networks and grow business, right? So even if you're not a formal customer yet, it's a great place to learn from other customers. Get the real story about the challenges they're having and how the platform is helping, how the Salesforce platform is helping you solve those challenges. Something else that was really key in driving this adoption and we continue to rely on is employee activation and awareness. As David alluded to before, if your core is not strong and your core is not believing and executing on the values and vision that you have, it's going to be reflected in your community. So the community that you see in the success community, the culture that we have there of radical transparency, peer-to-peer support, it's exactly the same in Salesforce. I don't feel like I'm in a different world when I go back to our internal community. It is the same. And that's why I work at Salesforce. So let's talk a little bit about the canvas. The parts I focus on are slightly different because the community is more mature, although John's community seems to be rocking it. Thinking about the purpose and continuing to refine the purpose, as I mentioned before in the evolution slide, it started as just a place to put links, put PowerPoints. You come, you get the stuff, and you go. Now, over time, we're making it a stickier and more valuable experience. People told Erica and her team, hey, we want to be able to suggest features. So they built out an idea exchange. So as we listen to our customers more, we're able to build in features and new areas of the site to accommodate needs. Staffing, this is something I just talked about. We've got a really strong team. Erica's at the helm. Claudio and I are managing the broader engagement across the community. We've got Holly and Molly working on our MVP, our super users program. Those are our top brand advocates for Salesforce and our user group leaders. We're also amazing advocates and run local user groups in person around the world. And our voice of the customer team, Christy and Jenny, you might know them from the idea exchange. They work directly with customers and our product managers to get stuff done. We also have employees across the company, from our customers for life organization, support, product management working with us. So while they don't report directly to us or are directly on our team, we're all on the same team. We're in the community together. And we have our contributors, our volunteers. These are people who, they don't get paid by Salesforce. They just really love contributing. They really love driving connection in the community. We're heavily reliant on those people. Let's talk a little bit about key metrics. So as the community matures over time, the metrics and the ROI that you deliver back to your customers and to your organization, it has to change. Right in the beginning, again, back to the first portal that was created, it was just get those PowerPoints onto the community, and that's great. Tick the box, we are done. We met the ROI. Now we have to think a lot about and execute on delivering to sales revenue, right? How do we help community members be more active, ask smart questions so that they will want to upgrade to the next feature? They will want to look into more clouds. If they're a community cloud member, maybe they want community cloud customer, they want to migrate to marketing cloud. That's where the community can help them do that. Building brand advocacy and customer loyalty programs. This is where we can do that. Like, the community is the hub for that. And it's not just saying these are the goals we hope to have. These are the goals we do have. We do influence sales. We do influence pipeline, and we have the metrics to prove it. And I didn't mention this person yet, but we just got a data scientist on our team, an internal hire. So that person is going to be responsible for helping us get this data together. I like to think I'm kind of bright, but I'm not a data scientist. So this person is going to really help us work to the right goals. So our focus is much more strategic. Better for Salesforce, better for our members and customers. So what's next? Our membership continues to rocket only because our customer base continues to grow. So Claudio and I, we're not going to be focusing on just getting members in there because that's going to grow naturally without much of our help. What we need to focus on is enhancements and innovations, product enhancements, innovations directly in the community to make it a better experience for members in there. So onboarding resources, we hear a lot about the community is great. It's just so big. Where do I go? I don't know what to look at. So let's take a stronger look at building out those kind of resources, whether it's an onboarding wizard that automatically drives you through or other options that might be really helpful to members. And of course, we'll build this with members' feedback. More curated content to increase value and lower engagement barriers. Sorry about that typo. We want to make sure that the content we have is not ad hoc. It's not just responsive. It's really important to be responsive and agile as a community manager. But you also want to make sure you have that special curated content that is exclusive, that your members know that they can't get anywhere else. Then they know the community is a great place and a focused place for them to work. And then just, again, focusing more on ideas that are based on member feedback. So one of the new functionalities we launched just a couple weeks ago is featured groups. This is in direct response to member feedback. They were telling us, again, we would love to join your groups that you talk about. There's 1,000 in there. How do I start? I tried to work this little janky topics page out and added a listing of groups. Not helpful. So what we did is we built out, have people in the room heard of our app exchange? So we built out a feature. When you click through on this banner here, or our featured groups drop down, people will be able to see a view of all the curated groups. So we have about 300 groups in there. So that's still a lot, but 200 of those groups are user groups. They're regional, vertical groups. And then the other ones are our product groups, customer resource groups. So it's much easier to be able to find what you're looking for. And each of those groups now have a public group landing page where you get a taste of what's going on in the group before you want to join it. Maybe you look at this, take a scan, and decide this is exactly what you were looking for. Maybe you take a look and decide, you know what, if this isn't exactly what I need, I may come back to this another time. And the great thing about this for our group owners and leaders is that they can use these public landing pages to drive traffic publicly, right? They can go to Twitter and talk about these groups, share the link to this page, and people don't have to log in. So it eases the friction to learning about something new. You shouldn't have to log in to learn about something. And we just wanted to, that was it for me. We're going to talk a little bit now about the keynote that
Thank you, Phoebe.
we talked about before.